Hey everybody, welcome back. So in this video, there's a number of things I'd like to do, and some I've already done because I lost my first intro. I want to get the wheels and tires off it. I want to get the brakes apart, take a look at them. I'd like to swap the master cylinder. I'd like to get the spark plugs out. I'd like to crank the engine over. Don't know how much of that I'm going to get to, but you know what? Let's get started because time's a-wasting. I'm going to get these tires in my vehicle as soon as I take a break. Get these fine old tires. I mean, these tires have aged like milk. They are just amazing. Sonic Maxima. All right, I guess that doesn't really come as a shock. And I guess from all the dampness and wet around the master cylinder, I guess the fact that it's empty doesn't come as a shock either. All right, let's see how much fun these brake drums are to get off. Oh, it's going to come right off. Maybe, maybe not. Wow, I thought it was going to come right off there for a minute. I can always crawl under it and back the shoes off. But it looks like I might be able to. There we go. There we go. God, the shoes look brand new. Wow. Look at that, huh? Shoes look absolutely brand new. They look like they've never had a hard stop put on them. The wheel cylinder doesn't look bad. I mean, there's no drips coming out from under the boots. Wow, those brakes actually look pretty good. I bet I did those myself at one point. It's probably 30 years ago, but probably not that long ago. Might have only been 20. I'm tempted to put a new master on it, put some fluid in it, and see if they hold also. It's nice to see that I don't see any grease coming out of the axle seals. I might just leave that alone. Not that rear brakes are hard to do or anything, but let's get them off the other side. Okay, so thankfully that was not a big deal. I just got my brass mallet and gently worked around the rim of that drum until it came off. And again, over here, the seals aren't leaking, the wheel cylinders aren't leaking, and the shoes look good. I am sorely tempted just to clean everything up, put it back together, and put we'll have to put a new master on it, of course, put it back together and see what it needs. Keep in mind that my dad drove this car to work every day for quite a few years. It's got over 100,000 miles on it, so it was not some weekend cream puff car. It was his daily driver for a long time. So anyway, let's get the fronts off. And on this car, the drum is part of the hub, so you have to pull the wheel bearing off to get the drum off. Bearings look fine, which I would expect. Now let's see how hard the drum comes off. Not hard at all, I don't think. We're gonna weasel off of there. There we go. And brakes here are looking about the same as the brakes on the other side. Wheel bearings, or excuse me, the wheel cylinders aren't leaking. The shoes look good. They look pretty good for how long it's been sitting. Okay, same thing on this side. No leaks around the wheel cylinders, which is nice. As soon as they move, they might start leaking. And shoes look good. Bearings look good. Those brake hoses don't look bad. I mean, there's no cracks in them or anything. I mean, nowhere. They look fine. I'm sorely tempted to leave those alone too. All right, so let's get the old master cylinder out of there. As this car's been inside and covered its whole life, it's never sat outside for any period of time that it wasn't being driven. So I don't have a lot of the rust and corrosion that a car that's been sitting out in a swamp or a cornfield would have. Flare nut wrench. Let's see if these will break free. Oh yeah. Okay. That one came loose too. Yeah. Oh yeah, not a problem. Well, leave it to Ford to make a master cylinder this hard to swap. While I'm sure there are more difficult ones out there, almost every other one I've ever done has been easier. I can't remember the last time I had to crawl up under a dashboard to get a master cylinder out. But on this one you have to, because this rod has a clip on the end of it that goes in there, and once you press that clip in, it locks and will not come back out. You have to pull a clip off of the stud on the brake pedal, then you have to slide the arm, and then of course the brake pedal switch will come off at the same time. So I guess I better test to make sure the brake pedal switch works. I don't want to lose this nylon bushing since it seems to fit pretty good. And now I got to figure out how I'm going to, there is a C-clip in here, so I'm assuming if I pull the C-clip, the entire piston will pull out. Well, here it is. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it on the action camera. This is where the bottom was, and look at all the crap that had collected at the bottom of that piston. And the funny thing is, the rubber is still pliable. If it were clean, it would probably still be a functioning master cylinder. But it's out of there now, and it ain't going back in. So now I want to get the spark plugs out because I want to get the motor turned over just to make sure that it rolls over freely. I don't really think that I'm going to have any issues in that regard, but I do want to make sure the motor rolls over smoothly. I want to get some oil in the cylinders, and I'm waiting for the brake master. And it dawned on me the other night that I ordered the wrong brake master cylinder. While I should have ordered one for manual brakes, I ordered one for power brakes because it just never dawned on me that this car did not have power brakes. I should have known it, of course, because I've worked on it so much in the past, but I didn't know it. I would have thought a car, you know, an upscale model with the high performance big block would have had power brakes, but it doesn't. So looking at these two parts, the one for power and the one for manual, I think the only difference is the rod that goes into it. But it'll arrive here later today and I'll see it. If not, I can always run down to the local O'Reilly and get one if I want one quick. Anyway, let's get the plugs out. That is quite the job on this car. None of them are easy to get to. The two that are right behind the shock towers here, the one mainly, this front one too, but especially this one here on both sides is extremely hard to get to. You would think if you could pull this line out, this steel line out, it would be a lot easier, but it almost looks like you'd just about have to pull the engine out to get that steel line out. So I've done plugs on this before. I think the first time I put plugs on this car, it took me 2 hours to do it. So let's see if I can beat my time now. The fact that the spark plugs, you really can't get more than 2 fingers on them, and that they're angled. The front two are angled toward the back at a pretty good decent angle, and the back two are angled forward. I'm probably going to drop the spark plug socket at least 15 times for every plug onto the floor. I think that's a dead giveaway. You gotta have either a wobble spark plug socket or a wobbly on the back of your spark plug socket. Okay, believe it or not, I don't have a 13/16 wobble socket. Not even in a half deep, much less a full deep. and a half deep is not going to be deep enough to get over the spark plug. So what I'm going to have to use, I have a regular 3/8 drive impact wobbly. I'm going to put that on the end of my socket. The only other car I've ever worked on that had spark plugs harder to get to than this one was a Chevy Monza. And it had the small V8 in it. I forget what it was. Why wouldn't you reverse? There we go. And it had the small V8 in it. And you had to lift the engine up to get the spark plugs out of it. Once you had the engine up, you could take a sledgehammer and put a great big dent in one of the fender wells that would then let you get them in and out in the future without lifting the engine up. But the first time, I don't think there was any way to do it without lifting the engine up. Honestly, if I didn't want to get oil in those cylinders, I'd probably just see if it would run with these plugs. So there's the first plug that comes out of it. It doesn't even look that bad. But no, it's an Autolite Power Tip 35. I know they're not all going to be that easy. Even getting the plug wires off this car is hard, because there's almost no way to grab them without yanking on the wire itself. It's very hard to get. Well, I can't get to the boot with my fingers. I've got to go in with long needle nose pliers. And these are Belden wires. I mean, they're 20 plus years old, of course, but they're a good wire set. They're not cracked or broken. They may stay on. All right, this plug should be easier because it's pointed to the rear and it's closer to the rear. So I expect one of them to give me a lot of grief. And none of them may be too bad if they come out this easily. But like I say, and I've said in other videos, I'm a big believer in anti-seize, and I have been since my high school auto shop days. So that may be one of the things saving me here. Man, that is hard to get. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull the boot off of the one next to it, because that's in the way. Let's get that boot off of there. Okay, that came off. Oh yes, it's torn. Okay, it's torn, so we're going to be putting new plug wires on. The fact that you have to grab them with pliers almost guarantees at some point you're going to tear them. Especially, you know, if they're old. So we're going to need new plug wires. Man, I'd like to get that one off too, but that damn metal hose is right where I want to get my pliers. There we go. All right. Just getting the damn socket on the plug is a challenge. Okay, there we go. Ah! That one's not going to come off quite so easy. God dang it! God. Wait a minute, I'm tightening it. All right, that's stupid. Oh! Dang. Well, second one back in the driver's side. It doesn't look too bad. At least they're not all rusty. And I'm going to make sure I'm turning it the right way. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. All right. Let's get the best angle on there I can see. Move that out there a little bit. Right about there. Oh, that came. Wow. I'm seeing a little oil around the base of the plugs, but not on the plug itself, so I'm guessing that's probably a leaky valve cover. Is that on? That couldn't have been that loose, could it have been? I can't tell if that's on. Here's why I hate these damn cheapo Harbor Freight gloves. They just tear at the slightest movement. I don't think that's on there. That damn steel pipe being in the way so much. really prevents you from getting a fucking tool on it at any kind of a decent angle. And honestly, part of me wants to just bend that, but part of me also says, if you do that, it's going to bust. And getting another part for a California specific car, oh, I can't tell whether that's on or not. What's going on? Oh, it's loose. It came out. That plug looks awful. And that plug looks really awful. All right, well, that's driver's side bank plugs out. That wasn't too horrible. Let's go work on the other side. There we go. All the plug wires are out. Let's see if we have as good a luck with the plugs on this side as we had on the others. I can imagine being a tech at Ford and just cringing when one of these would come in for a tune-up. Number one plug there, gap almost completely closed, probably because it hit the floor. I remember when I first did this as a kid, I think one of my main problems is I didn't have anything that wobbled. And it's just almost impossible to do this without wobbling. Hell, it's hard to even see these plugs. Trying to be sure. There we go. Okay. Actually, very happy with the way this is going, except for trying to turn that one in the wrong direction for a while. And that's just me. My brother was even worse than me at turning stuff in the wrong direction. I remember he'd lay underneath cars, and I'd see him doing this, trying to remember which way to turn something. When he got out of the military, I think it was in 1972 or 73, he bought a new Harley-Davidson Sportster on the military program in Germany and had it shipped to the US. And one of the first things he did on the first service interval, he stripped the transmission drain plug. Oh God, I had to go in the house just because he'd have kicked my ass if he had heard me laugh at him. He over tightened everything. His theory was max torque. How much torque to put on it? The maximum, all of it. I mean, we put a helicoil or a time cert in it, so it wasn't the end of the world. Plus, he hated that motorcycle. He wanted to like that motorcycle so much, but he hated it. This one's going to be hard to get onto. I almost need a wobbly on my wobbly. This is probably the one I remember being so hard, because you can't get anything in there. It's not on, but it's coming loose, probably because it wasn't that tight, because there was no way to tighten it. See if we can arrange something a little bit better going back together. All right, well, that wasn't that bad to get them out. There is the last of the plug, and that might be the best looking plug of the bunch. That was actually almost what I'd call perfect for a carbureted engine. This has a fan clutch on it, so I can't use the fan clutch to turn the engine, but there's a lot of room down to get like a breaker bar on it and see if this engine turns over. Alrighty then, I have gotten a oil pump. I filled it with multi-purpose ATF. I got a rubber hose, like a windshield washer hose, and I put 5 pumps in each cylinder. Unfortunately, my camera card filled up and I did not get any of that exciting video for you guys, but I used the little Vivor inspection camera with the little steerable end on it. Anyway, I got 5 pumps in each cylinder. That made it really easy to tell that the hose was actually in a spark plug hole, because otherwise it's not easy to get to. I've got the fuel line disconnected because God knows what's in that fuel tank. I got the remote starter out here. I'm going to try cranking it over by hand again a little bit first, and then I'll bring the battery out and we'll lay the starter onto it. But let's see if it will crank over manually for me a little bit first. That's better. Oh, much better. That's me cranking into the fan blades. All right, I'm convinced that it's turning over pretty good. All right, I have the Walmart EverStart battery that I bought. Okay, oh look, I don't have a single spark there. Nice. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens. What do you know? All right, that should have distributed that oil pretty well around the cylinder walls. I don't have new plugs. I don't have the brake parts yet. I had a big pair of channel locks out here. Here they are. See if we can get that radiator cap off and see what's in there. Of course, it's a Ford, so we all know the water pump's going to be bad. Because Ford, I don't see a single thing in there. Nothing came out of this. I pulled the hose off because God knows what's in the gas tank. So I pulled the hose off because I didn't want to pump whatever's in the tank into the carburetor. One thing I didn't check for that we could check for is spark. See if I can show you how great this spark is. I'm just going to lay it there. Hopefully it'll stay as we crank. Yes, very bright spark. All right, let's see what our oil looks like. Probably should have checked this before I cranked it, but I know there was oil in it when I parked it, and there isn't a ton of a big puddle underneath of it, so I'm assuming it's still in the pan. Alrighty, let's see what we got here. Where the hell is the dipstick on this thing? There it is there. It is dark, isn't it? I don't smell any gas in it though, so. I mean, other than the fact that this engine had over 100,000 miles on it, 117,000 to be correct, I don't remember this engine running poorly. Yeah, I don't smell, there's no gas in that at all. Still has a fair amount of viscosity too. Probably good enough for it to run for a few minutes before I change it. Let's look at the ATF. It's not running, so it won't be a correct level, but let's take a look at it. I mean, these are good engines and transmissions. Yeah, look at that. ATF looks good. Nice and red. Does not smell burnt, does not look burnt. Yeah, beautiful. Fabulous. And it looks like, despite the fact that I smell fuel, I'm not seeing anything being pumped up. I'll probably put 5 gallons in it just to see if it will pump fuel up. But I don't have that right now either. I'm going to disconnect the battery. All right, I think I'm going to end this video for now. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm just waiting for parts at the moment. So hopefully in the next few days I'll have some parts and I can get back out here and we can keep working on this. Thanks for following me along on this fun project. Thanks for your comments and suggestions, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.